Good evening, guys. Welcome to day one of SOC Analyst and then Palo Alto Firewall. So we have our trainer with us, Mr. Imran, sir. Hi, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
So yes, Imran, sir, we can start the session. Students are joining, in 2 or 3 minutes. You can continue with the our practical session or whatever we have the agenda today. So
Sure.
yes, and one more point, guys. Yesterday we just focus on the career guidance and just introduction of the courses, right? So today we have technical session. Don't worry, we'll teach you from the scratch to advanced level. Yes, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaspreet. So, good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing very well. As Jaspreet said, yesterday we covered a lot of topic covering the network security, cyber security, and the other domains of security. We also touched base with the governance level, but today uh, we'll walk through the world of cybersecurity from two lenses, I would say. One is offensive security, and then we have a defensive security. Uh, so I think people are still joining. So, so we'll start then. I'll show you how attackers operate and how, as blue team defenders, respond to that particular attack. I'll also explain you the core security principles during this session. Just like the CIA triad, why is it the base of the security? The OSI model, the network fundamentals, and we'll end with a scenario. We have so I have prepared a hypothesis for you guys to see what a real attack looks like, what attacker thinks when he attacks, right? So we'll start with a demo. I'll just share my screen. So just starting with the thing, if anyone has any questions from yesterday's session, please feel free to ask. Else we'll take the questions at the end of the class.
Yes.
So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Visible.
So, so is there anyone who can tell me what is offensive security? So guys, if you engage into the session, you'll see like you are learning more where we are doing the practical. So I want your acknowledgement and your contribution to the stuff. Just like when we'll start, there will be few questions which I would like you to answer. But in case uh, you'll not be able to answer, I'll help you with that. So I guess is there anyone who knows what is offensive security or what is defensive security?
Offensive is that cyber attacks like red
Yeah,
hackers, black hackers. It is offensive security, and defensive is like audits which are done in cyber laws for audits.
Okay.
This is defensive.
Okay. Thanks, Saurabh. Is there anyone else? Okay. So
of-
if we talk about
offensive security.
yeah,
Offensive security means someone break into the system, and defensive to make it defensive means to make it secure.
right. So will I hope I'll relate it to a sport, right? If we say about cricket, so offensive, what is offensive means if a bowler is trying to bowl at a 150 kilometers per hour, that is offensive for a batsman to face that delivery, right? At the same time, he has to defend it and to protect the ball from hitting the stumps, right? So if we talk about offensive security, these are attackers, right? And if we are not talking about ethical offensive security, they are attackers. But yes, we do have the certified ethical hackers also, which take the permission from the business to do the attacks on their environment just to see if there is any vulnerability which can be exploited by a threat actor, right? So it has two meanings, right? One is aiming the vulnerabilities in the environment and just looking out to accomplish its goal, either to get the data and then. So I hope everyone has heard about the ransomware attack. A ransomware attack is when an attacker compromise a network and get hold of the systems and then encrypts the files on that system and leave a note there. So in that note, when they open, they have the attacker's address, so they can reach out to the attackers over an email, or they put in their Bitcoin wallet address where they can make the payment, and then they'll get the decryption key from the attackers to decrypt the files on their server. So that's offensive security. Attackers perform this security. So if we have to outsmart a hacker, we have to think like a one, right? If we are talking about from the blue team, the defenders, right, their job is to protect against the attacks which can happen anytime. So if it can happen anytime, that's why SOC runs 24 cross 7. Right? So if we talk about SOC L1 group, mostly if they are working, they works 24 cross 7. But yes, there are some exceptions based on the projects they are being deployed upon. Right? So this is, if we talk about it, so as I told, it involves breaking into the computer systems, exploiting the vulnerabilities, finding the loopholes in the applications. So when we'll start this course for SOC, we'll be covering AWASP top 10, right? Those are the top 10 vulnerabilities which are currently being exploited by the attackers in the wild, and how, as a defenders, we can protect against them, right? So beginning the journey, so just the questionnaires, I would like somebody to answer this question if you would like. Which of the following options better represent the process where you relate a hacker's action to find vulnerabilities in a system? Anyone?
Offensive security.
Right. Thanks. So we'll just submit this offensive security.
Security.
Right, it's a correct answer. We'll just move to the next section where we'll just start our machine. Machine might take some time to start. So this is a lab where we'll performing a scenario where we will be hacking uh, a bank server where we'll be transferring the money to our account. So before doing that, we need to know what vulnerability exists in that particular server window, that bank server, so we can exploit and transfer the money from that server to our account. So this is what is all about. There is some instructions written on this screen. I'll read it out for you. Uh, so this is the bank page which we'll be looking upon. Since it is still loading, we'll be landing onto this page, and it shows like what will be doing. uh, so all these steps are here, but I'll be here to guide you through the steps and tell you what is happening in the background, right? So this is our screen. So everybody's following me, right? Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
So you
perfect.
see that this is a fake bank.thm. Right? That's a fake URL for a bank. So we are performing a simulation. So it is saying that, okay, Mrs. G. Benjamin, you have the account balance in minus, right? It's minus $1,232 dollars and 32 cents, right? So when we have to hack any page, right, we don't do it actually. So if we are from the blue team, so let me give you a background. So what happens in the industry, the organizations recruits two teams, right? One for the defender and one for the offensive roles, right? So what the offensive certified, they are ethical hackers. They are not the hackers, real hackers. What they do is they try to find out the vulnerability in the application, and what they try is to exploit it in the same way that the genuine hacker would do it, right? What the goal for the offensive team is to find out a vulnerability, then share it with the blue team, which are the defenders, so that they can make the adjustment, they can patch the vulnerability, they can fix the any inbound rule on the firewall, they can restrict it, they can restrict the connections to the secured servers, right? If we are talking about the Linux servers or the Windows servers, the patching is must. So they advise with the virtual patching solutions until the patch is available, because the servers which are critical and have money involved in it, uh, and also at the same time the availability is the focus there, right? So you guys might be accessing your bank, internet banking, right? And you guys all, we all need it to be very secure. How would it be secure? So that's the one pillar of security, achieving the confidentiality, right? And confidentiality is achieved using the certificates. We call it as SSL handshake. So while going through this course, I'll explain you what is a public key infrastructure, how a certificate is requested from a certificate authority, what is a private key, what is a public key. If you see in here, right? Right now, you might all be logging in from the browser, but if you see that this lock sign won't be having a cross in it, right? It would be fully secured. But if we see this type of lock sign with a cross, it means your connection is not secure. Means uh, this is not protected by the encryption. Right? Anybody who is sitting in the middle of the connection between my machine and to that bank server can see the connection going, and can see my credentials going in a clear text, my passwords going in the clear text, and the same time they can use those credentials and get hold of my account. So that is why the confidentiality is the most important part. But it still depends. In the banking scenario, we call it as confidentiality is important, integrity is important, so that nobody can log in and change, transfer the money, right? So I'll come to the confidentiality, integrity, and availability part later. But why we are doing this? We just wanted to transfer $2,000, right, from bank server to our account. How would we do it, right? I'll just show you something before doing it. There is a list here. So what this list is, this is a list for the passwords. We'll be doing a brute force attack. What brute force attack is? Anyone who can tell?
I mean, it is
Sorry,
one of the type of cyber attack where attacker usually use I mean you use multiple I mean he tried to log in with multiple times of passwords like login credentials you.
Yes, right. So so attacker generally has a list of all the password, a big data set. So what he tries is he uses a bot and run a script, right, using a terminal, and hits on an application just to
I'm
check if
audible?
the, hi, is there?
Hi. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hi.
Sorry to interrupt, but these things are basics. Are we doing from scratch or what is it? Like,
So for L1s, it is from the scratch. When we advance it to the L2s level, then there will be hypothesis involved of threat hunting, which we'll be covering later. I have a slide ready for you guys how a real attack happens, and how a digital forensics work to prepare the hypothesis for it. So we'll be covering all, but since this is a basic, we'll starting with the SOC L1 training and advancing it to the
okay,
L2s and L3s.
Yes,
okay.
yes. This is the day one, Shubham. Yes.
Right?
Please.
I think somebody was having a question. Okay, so we'll go on. So brute force, I think somebody has already explained. Sorry, I think so. You have explained like the attackers usually have a list of the passwords, and they prepare a script and run a script for using that file, hitting up an application just to see if that one password works, any of the password works for that particular application, that's brute forcing. But it's not limited to any application. If anybody is logging into to the other machine on any Office 365 account, which is accessible from the SaaS applications in the real scenario. Uh, so in general, in the organizations, we see logging in coming from Netherlands, Japan, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So we uh, see attacks happening from everywhere. The brute force attempts are there, right? And if any case the wrong configuration is set on any of the perimeter devices where attackers are trying to log in, and they get successful, so I think then that's a huge loss for any company. So your first hack. So we'll be using a command line application, which will be the terminal. Here we see a terminal, right? Uh, it's an Ubuntu machine. We'll try to brute force the website which was already there. This website will be trying to brute force upon. What we'll be doing is we'll be using the command line application which is known as Go Buster, right? A Go Bust and hit to the application and see if there is any page which is vulnerable to the brute force attack. And when using the script and the file of the password, it will try to log in to any of the page, vulnerable page belonging to this particular application and see what comes up with. Okay. So this is a terminal. If anybody who is not aware about this, this is a terminal in Windows machine. We can use PowerShell, we can use command prompt. So this will be using to see if there is any hidden page in this application, right? So if we go about the command line, the Go Buster, and then we'll be using this particular command. This command, if you see here, what it'll do is it will run and will search for this URL. If we find anything related to this word list, right? And so dir means the directory which we are using, and we'll just be hitting this application to see if anything comes up with any vulnerable page, and then we'll be doing the commands to see what the URLs comes which are vulnerable, and what all things we can do using accessing those URLs. So going on, one second, please.
Are you speaking, sir? Because voice is not coming now.
No, I'm not speaking. I'm just
Oh,
typing out.
okay, okay, good.
So I think with this, you see, so I have not run a full command here. I've just so this is for the new joiners, right? If we see what all things which we can do if when we don't know the commands, what we can do is we can ask the machine itself, and that provides you with all the details. If we do -p, it will be a string. Password for basic authentication. Use string is for username for basic authentication. Directory mode only, right? But what we are looking at is we are looking at -w, which means a string path to the word list which we were about to. We have to give the name of the word list which we have on the desktop, against which the brute forcing attack will happen, right? So word list. Okay. Now what? You see, so it's a domain, right? And if you see the word list, everything is here. Status code 200. So it means there is a successful communication. And if you see that we are unable to make the the connection to this particular URL, but there are multiple URLs within one URL. So there will be links if you see here. And now we have to explore the complete directory. It's not the URL which we can reach out, right? right? So we have this with us now. So moving on, this is what we have done till now. So if you see, if I go up and show you something, so U in the command U is used to state the website we are scanning. It's a string, it's a URL string which we are scanning, right? This is the string which we were doing it. We were doing in the mode of directory, and with W also, which was to the path to the word list, the list which we were using. So now we have this thing with us. If you see here, so we have a status code of 200, but we do have status code of 204, 301, 302, 7, and 403. But so we should find a secret bank transfer, right? But here we cannot see anything happening.
I think you should try it with HTTP. You have used HTTPS.
I guess so. Okay, we have finished scanning it. Now we have a status code of 300. Now we have to hack the particular server, right? The account which we should focus upon is uh, one second. Getting back to the terminal. So this is the directory which we were doing it, and as stated, so status is 200. We are able to make the connection using that directory. We are able to hack it out. And if you see, it goes to bank transfer. Once we go to it, it shows like we can transfer the money to the account, right? If we have to send the money from the bank account number. So our bank account number was, I think it was, once again. Does anybody remember what was the account number? We should check the details. Okay, so it says like your mission is to transfer $2,000 from the bank account 2276 to your account. This is 8881, right? So we have to transfer it from 2276 to 8881, and how much money we have to transfer is $2,000. Okay, so you have successfully completed the transfer, right? So what happened in here is we scanned the complete page. We found out the vulnerability that it was there in this particular URL for this website, and it was lacking the access control. It did not prompt me to enter any credentials to log into this particular URL. Uh, so once I was able to get in, I was able to transfer the money to my account. So if we go back, So you see the amount was transferred to my account and now it is in positive. So above your account balance, you should now see a message indicating the answer to this question. Can you find the answer you need? Okay, for this, we have to read a complete scenario. So I think that the answer which we have is, it says, congratulations, you hacked the bank. The answer to try hack me question is bank hyphen hacked. So I'm just completing out this particular page and it will just complete our first lab for this session. So guys, what I would tell you is this is just a basic scenario which we were doing, and we had to follow some of the steps which were there. But in the actual scenario, it does not happen like this. If there is a scanning going on, it will be done through the nmap. The attacker will be performing the enumerations. It will be doing reconnaissance, right? Just to see what services are available on your servers to exploit, right? And if you does not have a proper WAF protections, or you don't have the access controls on the server, it can be exploited by the attackers. And at the same time, as a SOC, what SOC does is they put a correlation rules just to see if any of the offenses comes in. Uh, uh, just like, suppose a person logs in from India every time, and suddenly there is a login attempt for his account from suppose China. So that's suspicious. So there are correlations rules on SIM which are built and looking, and then if those logics are met with the ingested logs from the log sources, the offense is triggered. And where the SOC part comes in, the SOC L1s has to monitor it, and when it triggers, they detect it and respond to it. They perform the analysis for that part. Just in this scenario, we were able to see what vulnerabilities were there. We were able to brute force it using a command, and the script which we ran, it shows that one of the page from that particular website was vulnerable, which allowed us to transfer the money to our account. So that is what offensive security means. You have to find out a vulnerability. If it is there, share it with the blue team and they patch it for you. So as a defenders, if our job is to defend it if they are trying to break it down, right? So any questions related to offensive security,
I
then I would see, like, we'll switch it to the defensive security then.
I just have a doubt, like if in that case, if it is there is no correlations rules and all, so this particular incident what you have done right now, doesn't it, I mean, it seems like it's like a threat hunting, right? I mean, as a blue team thing.
Yes, of course. So as a threat hunting, you have to find out the threats in the current environment. Yes, you are right. If there is a vulnerability exposure, then you run the scan with the help of VMDR teams. If you can find any lol bins which are creating the process from any unusual directory. So these are the things following the MITRE tactics or the other type of the threat group it is, what they are trying to achieve here. So when we'll be like, once we are done with this defensive security scenario, I'll be going through a hypothesis which is there, uh, which is covering the recent time threats where a whaling attack is done, and then uh, how the whaling and the spam emails were sent to one particular users, and then the same user was called. So we'll be going through that scenario as. But yes, the answer to your question is yes, threat hunting is somehow a part of the ethical security, but here you are not attacking something, right? You are just finding a flaw in it. But when we talk about certified ethical hackers, they attack, right? They get the permission from the customer, they attack their scenario, they find out the vulnerability. Their aim is to break the defense of the defensive team, which is a blue team. And at the same time, defensive team should be well aware of the open vulnerabilities or the threats which are there in the wild to be exploited, which offensive team might be trying to do to bypass, and they should have a proper controls in place. So if we are not having detections as a SOC, uh, so security is not depending upon one particular mechanism. So there is a defense in depth. If we say about the preventive measures, right? We have WAF solutions, we have firewalls, we have the load balancers as a security. We have then when it comes in, there are access controls. So the zero trust is the new model which is followed by the organization throughout the world. So never trust, always verify. So I hope I answered your question.
I have a question.
Sure.
Um, Usually, organization have their WAF F5 installed, and that usually insecure the organization into web application and everything. So, what the attackers do? Do they follow top 10 vulnerabilities and step by step, and then they break into the system? What do attacker do usually?
So if we say about the application level attack, right, layer 7 attack, they are coming in, and then you have a preventive measures of WAF. If you don't have the correct rule set there. So I will tell you with the real scenario, what I have seen is there is one customer where they have the WAF, they have this SQL injection protection, they have cross-site scripting, directory traversal, everything they were having. But as the rule said, when we had this particular correlation rule in the SOC, it triggered an alert, right, for SQL injection and directory traversal attack. So their WAF was not able to detect it or to prevent it. Why? The rule set was not aligned as per the compliance. It was the rules which were deny which should have been denying the SQL injections and directory traversal attacks were at the bottom. So uh, I would say a security flaw would be able to the attacker would be able to judge it and bypass it. And also one time what I saw was there was one server for which the as I told yesterday also, there was one inbound connection from the firewall, perimeter firewall, to the servers over SSH. What attacker has to do now is it just has to run a brute force using SSH. Once he able to successfully log in, then he can do whatever he wants. So it depends what they are trying to target, how they are trying to target, right? If we have our application server hosted, right, for the public, then we must ensure that it is very well patched. If there is a 0 day and there is a patch available, then they should patch it as soon as possible. Otherwise, they should have a virtual patching for the servers. So again, if there are WAFs, there could be they are working with the signatures, right? They have a database, but still, if the signature is not present in the WAF and they are not able to detect it, I think then it can bypass and reach out to the application server and can perform SQL injection targeting the SQL databases.
Okay, thank you.
So here we'll be performing the defensive security. As I told, the offensive security means checking, breaking the system. The defensive team is a maker group, right? They make the system, and the offensive security checks if what is in the defense is working fine or not, right? If we are talking about certified ethical hackers, but if they are the real attackers, they won't wait for the defensive security to patch the vulnerability. They will start exploiting them. All right. So this includes exploiting software bugs, which attacker does, like leveraging insecure setups, taking advantage of unenforced access control policies. If you are not having MFA in your environment, then only one defense you are having with respect to access control policies. So MFA is a must when we talk about the IAM solutions in the environment. If we talk about Office 365, I think most of us would have already used Office 365. So when we log in, we have to confirm the identity using our username and password, and at the same time, just after that, you get a code on your Microsoft Authenticator. Using that code, you log in. So that's a multi-factor authentication. And when we go into the depth, there are many multi-vector authentications which which are applied, like the biometrics or phone call code and the messaging code. So earlier there used to be the hard code devices which used to have the code, and using that code you can provide the second factor authentication, right? So red teams and pen tester teams. So we can call red teams and pen testers. They test uh, the defense of the defensive security team. So in this room, what we'll be doing is we'll be examining its counterpart. That what we did in the offensive security, the defensive security is a counterpart. It is concerned about the two main tasks: preventing intrusions from occurring. So for those who are new to the networks or security, intrusions means anybody who's trying to get into your network. And if we talk about the from the attacker's point of view, they don't have a good idea, though they don't think good about your network. Their main aim is to exploit and they get as much as data or something which is valuable to them. What they do with that data? Anybody?
Selling in black market.
Right. So what they do is first they ask the company to pay out a ransom, or they release the data to the dark web. So what can protect us? Okay, I have a question for you also. If suppose there is no WAF, nothing is there, and the attacker gets hold of the data, now what can still protect us?
Can you repeat
Continuous
the question?
patching or server patching and upgrading, something like that.
All right, that could be one part of it. But if I say like if attacker has the hold of a server, now he can see the files there, right? He can take the files along with him if he has a C2 channel, right? Command and control, which we'll be covering in the slide when I'll be presenting the deck. So if he has the hold on the server, he has the files with him. So and he takes the files with him. So what else can protect us?
Backups.
Right, but backup would be helpful if we have to maintain the availability. We can bring the server up, but still our data is lost. Okay, say if I say personal identified information is there, right? If we have our passport numbers, we have our PAN card numbers. So if we are in US social security number, so if attacker gets hold of the social security number, I think that most of the personal information of that particular persons are almost gone, because that is linked to many of their portals. He can know everything about the person if he has those numbers. So what can protect us is the proper encryption, a strong encryption, right? So
Imran, can you please repeat that question? What exactly it is?
So what I was saying is, if attacker has a control over a server, if suppose a file server, there are many files which are having a confidential information of the users or the people, or a general public. If we are talking about an public platform, so if he has a hold of that data, what still can protect us? So attacker cannot use that data. So that was the question, and I answered it. It will be the confidentiality, right? And using encryption, a strong encryption can still protect that data until and unless that attacker has the decryption key, right? He cannot break the data, he cannot decrypt the data and can use it for his purpose. So that data is useless for the attacker. So that is the defense in the depth which we are talking about in the defensive security. So we should be very much ready for the worst case scenario, but at the same time, we should stop the attacker in the first place. Right? We cannot. So attackers outsmart the defensive security. They try to find the loopholes. Right? They just want to intrude into the environment and do whatever they want to do. Right? They would want to literally move. They want to escalate their privileges. They want to maintain the persistence or command and control, a backdoor installed. They are trying new tricks. Right? They are not related to only malware now. They're just sending the malware and boom. Because the XDR solutions which we are having nowadays, the EDR solutions are very much matured, and they have a capability of detecting the alert and stopping that right away. At the same time, attackers are also upgrading themselves. They are thinking like how they can evade the defenses, right? How they cannot get detected. Once attack during an attack, attacker gets detected using one in any of the step which he's trying to perform, his access is gone. So he's trying to get into the system from like maybe 2 months, but one mistake or one layer of defense which we are having able to detect it or correct it or prevent it, his mission is not accomplished. So that is what they are trying to do, finding a loophole, and these all things which we'll be covering in the MITRE attack frameworks, which when we'll be going through it. So here we introduction to the defensive security, the lab which we are trying to do. Here we'll be preventing the intrusions from occurring and detecting intrusions when they occur and responds properly. So blue team is the team who looks into the security from the defensive side. User is the weakest link in the environment. So most of the attacks which are happening in the current environment is from phishing. So there are new techniques which are click fix. They are using captchas. They are using QR codes and alluring the users to think like that's a genuine page to their website, their organization, but that is not the case. So they just have to copy the logos and make it like a original website, which is a spoofed website. And the user think that okay, let me enter my credentials, and once he enter the credentials, the attacker has those credentials and uses it for its purpose. One of the attack is the AITM, adversary in the middle attack. uh, so what adversary in the middle attack? Anybody?
Middle attack means if we are sending the data someone in the between, and like he can read our data easily because of plain text.
We can say that that is man in the middle attack. And if we are not using the encryption and the data is in transit, anybody who is in the sitting in the middle or can get access to the tokens or can do sniffing can get the data and see if it is in the clear text. Again, if we are doing encryption, it won't be use of that particular person or the attacker who is sitting in the middle. But this is related to man in the middle. So as I said, attackers are advancing. They have moved to adversaries in the middle attack. So a new name given, where what happens is there is a phishing email which comes up. The user thinks like, okay, this is, and they use the spoof domains, just like the original organization's domain. Attacker, the user clicks on that link, and that link lands to a page which is also a spoofed page, which looks like their organization login, Office 365 login page. It asks for username and the password from the user. So looking at it, okay, it's a genuine website, user puts in username and the password. But what about multi-factor authentication? Again, the attackers are advancing. They then move to the another page, which is also a spoofed phase, which asks for the code, authentication code. Now, user thinking like it's a genuine website provides the code from the Microsoft Authenticator. Now, attacker has the username, the password and the authentication code. Within 5 minutes, they log in to into the user's account. Then they have the access to the SharePoint. If that user is a privileged user, they might have the access beyond that. So this is what scenario they are following. It's not the normal man in the middle attack nowadays, where they are sniffing the data and getting hold of the data, or just trying to get the tokens or the cookies from the browsers and then replicating those on behalf of the users, right? So I guess you're following me, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
If that person doesn't give the credentials, so by clicking on the link and not giving the credential, can it be hacked by MAC address also?
So getting into the MAC address, no. So what I'm talking about is if he does not provide the credentials, right? they cannot get in.
Okay.
They leave the customer, their users, to give out their credentials to them if you are specifically talking about AITM. But if we are talking about the MAC addresses, so that goes into MAC spoofing. So here the attackers, if they have the control of the machine, so first they have to get the control of the machine, then they can see the MAC address and can use their rogue device, which can they bring in the same environment and can use the same MAC address. So what happens is that MAC gets updated into the ARP table, which is at the switch. Then the switch thinks, okay, this is the IP address, and this is the MAC address against that IP address. It forwards it to the attacker machine instead of the user machine. So answer of that question for the AITM scenario, no, it is not possible. Once the attacker gets hold of the machine, then he can perform the MAC spoofing attacks.
Okay.
Uh, I have a question. You told us that encryption can protect the files, but if the attacker get the server access and get the files and get the database, password and everything, how the encryption can protect those application or those files?
Because they don't have decryption key.
Okay, so that's a topic for cryptography, where we have symmetric and asymmetric encryption. So if you encrypt a file using one key and you are following the symmetric encryption, you can decrypt the file using the same key. But if you are having asymmetric key, okay, suppose if I'm sending you a file that is encrypted your public key and you have your private key. So as I when I send you the file, you can use your private key to decrypt the data, but nobody else can do it because private keys are kept very secured with us, right? And nobody has access to it. So when I'll be teaching you the scenarios related to cryptography, where we'll be covering the symmetric, asymmetric, hybrid cryptography. Uh, then we'll be covering out the integrity part, the hashings, where you'll see like how it happens, who generates the certificate, what is the key, what are digital signatures. So that's a whole session will cover about the cryptography in detail.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So some of the tasks that are related to defensive security, as I told, like user awareness training, we must where the users, we should provide them the guidelines, or we should have a gamify type of stuff in the organization where the users get interested. So normally, what a user means, user is anybody who is not from the security, right, is a user. Even the security guy is a user. There are many tricks which have I've seen in the past where the security team guy has been tricked and giving out the credentials. Right? So it can happen to anyone. It's not like if somebody is from the security team, he cannot get compromised. He can be compromised, right? So they are the targets. But what the attackers are doing now, they are whaling. What whaling means? Anybody? So whaling means a type of phishing where they are targeting the highly privileged users, which means the CEOs, CFOs, CIOs. So they are targeting those users which are already having the high privileges, so that they can get hold of their accounts. They can get their emails. Then they start blackmailing them. So we have to enable the protection for the VIP users in our environment, and that's the part of defensive security. We are protecting everybody, but still there are some accounts which are very privileged, and we have to ensure that the proper security mechanism, proper detection mechanism is there to prevent or to detect any anomalies we find on those accounts. So that's one part of it. Uh, moving on, updating and patching, as we discussed, is a part of the security. If there is a zero-day attack, there is no patch available. There are virtual patching available provided by different vendors. We suggest it to the customers. So at a part of defensive security, our part as a SOC is not only to make the correlation rules or detect or be a part of the incident response, or I would say the digital forensic team. Our part is to recommend as well. We have to tell the customer, okay, this is the flaw which we have seen. in the past, or we are seeing the alerts coming in, and this is the vulnerability which we have found, and this should be patched, or you should use this solution, or you should just as I said, you should use virtual patching, right? So that if the patch is not available, that virtual patching can be a wall until that patch is done on that particular server. So vulnerability won't be getting exploited with that. Right? So setting up a preventive security devices, just like firewalls, we have next generation firewalls, and we'll be covering more in the tomorrow session for Palo Alto. The intrusion prevention system, these are the IPSs which prevents based on the signatures. They look out for the network traffic. Any traffic matches, signature matches the database which is already set on the IPS, they block the traffic, or how we have set it. So IPS and IDS, can anybody tell what is the difference between IPS and IDS?
It is a mod of IPS.
Yeah, we can say that if we are making keeping it in the detection mode, then it is an IDS, and if we are keeping it in the prevention mode, then it's an IPS. So why do we have IDS? And because if we have the IPS in the prevention mode, there are too many false positives. And if you the IPS has the signatures, but that's a valid connection, valid file, it blocks the file. So that's a false positive, and that's so. Sure. Sorry, who's there?
No, continue, sir. By mistake, someone.
Okay, no problem. So false positive is something which is an overhead for a SOC team, SOC L1s and L2s, and as a L3, it's L3's job is to see from where we are getting the most false positives, how we can reduce them, and these are the KPIs, and it also helps with the MTTR, which is mean time to respond. Right? So these are the KPIs which are set for L3s to perform along with the other things, right? It's not just they have to just see and reduce the load for the L1s and L2s. They also have to perform the hypothesis-based threat huntings. They have to work on the SOAR playbooks. They have to propose the use cases, advanced use cases, just basis on the real threats which are around and how we can detect those. So these are the things which L3 is covered. And so IPS, what IPS does is it blocks any network traffic that matches present rules or attack signatures. But at the same time, we have to be very cautious with the IPS. They block the genuine, the clean connections. So that is why it has to be configured with pretty attention, and the proper testing has to be done before the IPS goes live in the environment. Although we are having the next generation firewalls which are also having the IPS blades on, right, and the IDS blades on, and they can also use those signatures to prevent. So next generation firewalls are working on the layer 7. They are protecting you from they can protect your the websites, their application servers, any servers which is hosted out to the network, and also can protect your outbound traffic. They can block it. They can also work as proxies. Proper netting can be configured. It can certainly work as a UTM blades, just like IPsec VPN, the remote access VPNs. So many things can be covered using the next generation firewalls, but still few of the things which don't. So perimeter, they secure the border of the network of particular organization, but that's not limited with the current threat uh, landscape which we are having. So a SOC is a must, and a SOC guy must be aware about how firewall works, how that logs comes in, what that log means, what is a DNS, what is DHCP, uh, how a preventive control can be set up using the firewalls, what is aperture, right? What is CASB solution? So all these things which we'll be covering in the Palo Alto session. So there is much to defense security aside from these things which we have just discussed. There is SOC, there is a threat intelligence team. Anybody knows what this team does? Threat intelligence.
Testing, what penetration testing or what is it type of?
I mean, they're gonna find out the attacks which is happening. I mean, they have. I mean, it has a different criteria. Like generally, they go as a SOC analyst, they're gonna do first thing is like they're gonna find out any vulnerability in our organization. I mean, through any guessing and all that. That would be the first scenario, and the second scenario would be like they're gonna. I mean, the recent whichever that attacks is one published on the uh in the worldwide, they're gonna check whether those attacks has been done in our organization. They're gonna prevent those things and they're gonna block all those things.
Right,
Is it kind of it?
right. Thanks. I think you have covered most of the part. What left is we just see the name. It's intelligence. So they get the intelligence from the OSINTs, which is open source intelligence. They get the intelligence. They search the dark webs. They see the real threats in the which are being exploited. So suppose you are working for a customer which belongs to suppose a manufacturing industry. So if you ask the threat intelligence team if there is any threat group which is targeting uh, the manufacturing industry clients, right? So they will search out for all the threat actors. They will provide you with a list. They will share you with the MITRE tactics or the techniques which are being used. They will share you the hypotheses which are already there on the web or into the dark web. They will put in their intelligence. They will also share you the IOCs which you can block and prevent the and prevent your security or the defense and improve the defense of your organization. So this is the important team which works hand in hand with the SOC. They works hand in hand with the incident response team, with threat hunting team. They work with the digital forensics. So they work with everybody. So they also release the advisories time to time to all the clients and to the internal teams where the teams can take a look. So as a SOC, if you're working and you're busy with your alerts, you don't get the time to look out for the threat advisories which are there available on the open platforms. So this is a team to reach out for. So they do it for you. They bring out the stuff so that you can use to improve your SOC performance, your detections, your preventive controls, blocking the IOCs. Just like if you are having proxies, you can block the domains on your proxies. Uh, I hope everybody, if not, the Zscaler is the most favorite proxy right now in the wild right now. So every organization is using Zscaler because of functionalities which they are providing, the ZPAs, ZPNs also coming up. As ZPN, they are also coming up with a private network where you don't require a remote access VPN to connect to the network. If you have a ZPN client installed in your machine, you are connected to the Zscaler cloud, and through that Zscaler cloud, you have a tunnel, GRE tunnel formed uh, to your organization, so that it means that you have a private connection to your organizations if you have a ZPN client installed on your machine. So this team, threat intelligence teams, works for you and bring out the intelligence related to the threats, right, and share it with you. Digital forensic team, whenever there is an incident, this team comes into play. This is a major team when the compliance is there. If there is a data breach, how it happened. This is a team which comes in and take all the backups. They reserve the memories. They take all the volatile stuff first so that it can get changed, and then uh, they maintain the chain of custody. They take all the devices with them. They then do the forensics. So they don't do the forensics on the original device. First, what they do is they make two copies of it. One, which is the original one, is packed as a chain of custody, and that to be presented in the court if that matter goes there, right? So in the form of cybersecurity, there are some cyber laws, the compliances which has to be maintained. If we go through this particular course, it will cover all of them, right? We'll be covering some cyber laws, the compliances as per the geographic locations, and how an incident response team works when the incident response get activated. What is NIST? Anybody who can tell what uh, about NIST? Have you heard about anyone? Okay, so NIST is National Institute of Standards and Technology. So it belongs to US, and they are generally looking. They have a mission to promote the US innovations, right? Their focus area is to belongs to the standards and technology. So they set up some standards. Right? So as an incident response also said, they have some standards which every organization follows nowadays. So they have some cycle which has to be followed. There is a plan which is advised by them, and as the security team, they take the reference from that particular NIST framework and the guidelines, the standards which they are maintaining. Uh, so they use it to manage and reduce their cybersecurity risks. So when do we activate the incident response plan? When we can say that an event is an incident? So that's the thing which we're going to study during this course, right? So malware analysis, once a attack has happened, if you have, or it is about to happen, if you have an alert which is getting detected for a malware, your XDR has flagged a file as a malware, but now you need to confirm it's a true positive or false positive. If you have to uh, sandbox a file, right, and you see that what is the behavior of that file, all these things will be covering in the malware analysis part, right? So answering to the below question, which team focuses on defensive security? Anyone?
Blue team. I mean, like,
SOC team.
I mean, SOC team.
SOC team.
So SOC team, we have many teams in SOC, right? So I think somebody answers the
Blue.
blue team. So what is the difference between blue team and red team? So red team is the offensive one, blue team is the defensive one, right? And then when there is a simulation being performed, then we have a purple team, which is the customer, which coordinates between the blue team and the red team. So suppose there is a red team who has some findings and they want blue team to implement that. So the purple team, which is a customer who is helping both the teams to coordinate, right? So from a real perspective scenario, I would tell you at, if the offensive team is able to penetrate into the network and the defensive security team is not able to detect it or prevent it or correct it using their controls, so there is a huge escalation which comes up from the client end related to the blue team. So at the same time, blue team should be aware about the threats which are there, which could be exploited, which offensive team would try to exploit. So all these teams, if you are talking about these are the blue team. They are the defenders and the firewall network security team as well.
Hello.
Yes, Manju.
I mean, like, I have doubt, like, while explaining, I mean, few, like, you were explaining something. At that time, you said some, like, proxy and all Z scalar. What is that? Like, what is, like, proxy and all? Like,
Okay, so I'll give you with a real time example so that you can relate. So when we used to go to college, right? And we were getting bored and we didn't want to attend the lectures. So we asked our friend to proxy for us, right? To say
yeah,
like we are present
yeah,
in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right? So they were the proxy, right? So at the same time, when the users try to go out to the internet, suppose a user sitting in the organization wants to access, you can say tryhackme.com. So what it does, the connection, how it flows is it first go to the proxy, which is a Zscaler box there. So then proxy on behalf of that user forms the connection to tryhackme.com so that tryhackme does not know who is coming to them. You get my point? So if I can explain once again.
So these proxies are connected with these Tor routers, Tor routers.
No, no, they are not connected to the Tor routers. So proxy as a solution is so any web traffic which is going through the organizations goes through proxy. Any other web traffic, right, other than other than HTTP or HTTPS goes via the firewall. So this is a standard architecture which companies are following at this moment. So I just wanted a whiteboard so that I can show you how is the network architecture is. Give me
Okay.
1 second. I'm just opening a whiteboard. Okay. You all can see the whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. If we say this is these are users, right? These are machines, client machines. So we say client 1, client 2, client 3. So these are connected to a switch, right? So you have a switch here, and through this switch you are connected to a box which is a proxy. Or if we say Zscaler, it's a proxy, right? So please pardon me for my writing on the whiteboard. So when suppose this client has to, or on the proxy on the other side, we have the internet, right? So getting into the depth of the Zscaler, it connects to the Zscaler cloud also through GRE. So if I go into that stuff, you won't be able to understand this stuff. So I'll be going with a simple way right now. But in case you have any doubts, we can still continue in the other sessions where you will see like uh, how the complete architecture it works, right? So what happens is from a basic point of view, if this client wants to talk to the internet, suppose he has to access google.com, so any website, so g.com, we'll say. So what we don't want to expose is we don't want to expose the IP for this machine. We don't want anybody to know in the outside world what our IP is, right? So what we do is we have a proxy solution in between. So this C1 C1 machine will initiate the connection to www.g.com, and as per the routing defined in the network where there is a ZPA installed, it will first reach out to this switch, and the switch has the configuration to forward that traffic to the Zscaler box. Now, first the traffic will come from C1 to Zscaler, the proxy, and here the connection will break. Now, proxy will initiate another connection on behalf of that user to www.g.com, right? And when there is a response coming back, now it comes back to Zscaler for the same port. Now it comes to know that, okay, this belongs to C1 requested for that. It maintains the session. It then forwards the request back to C1 and does not forward request to C2 or C3. And the same thing happens for C2 and C3 when we are sitting in the organization. But when we are at home, it also works the same way at home. It has a ZPA installed that connects to the nearest Zscaler cloud, the proxy cloud solution. From that particular cloud, it connects you to the internet. Again, the cloud will act as a breakage. It breaks the connection and forms the connection on the user's behalf. So that's how a complete architecture flow is. Although when we'll be covering the NATs, you'll see how this works. So what we call it as a source NAT, because we are natting the source. NAT is network address translation. So we are natting the source IP of the client machine, and we are using the other IP which will be at this interface of the Zscaler. And the same type firewall also works. There is no difference. But here in the proxy, we have a cloud solutions. We have the tunnel from the cloud. So the ZPAs connect directly to the cloud, and then on behalf of the user, the cloud forms the connection to the original website, and the traffic routes back to the client. So this is how it happens in the basic scenario. But we'll get into the advanced level when we go through this course. You'll see like how the OSI model layer comes into play, what all layers uh, what is the functionality of each layer, how the traffic will flow from your client machine to the Google server and be back on your machine securely. How? So that is all we'll cover within this particular course. But if I'll start about this thing, it will cover a complete session for this particular scenario only. So how confidentiality works, what is a PKI, public key infrastructure, how certificates are requested, how uh, they get the certificates, what is a private key. So PKI provides one private key. Actually, somebody asked this question, right? What is a private key and what is a public key, right? So If we talk about the symmetric encryption, you uses only one key and decrypts the same data with the same key.
Same key.
No difference. But if we talk about private and public, that's the model we follow in the client and the server which belongs to Google. I hope, so that I got out of my chest this scenario. Uh, so, I think Manju, you asked that question, right? Regarding
I got it. I got it. So you're trying to say whatever I mean, the client request for like to access something something URL directly do we gonna, I mean, we are not going to request it. It goes through an proxy, which is instead of us, it gonna request some request, and it's gonna provide us the access.
Absolutely, right. Okay, so few more things are there. If you say like, okay, my friends comes along with me in the same office, will he able to do the same? So that could be a question, right? But if I say it's not, he's not your friend, it could be an attacker who is trying to get in your building and access your network, and he wants to do anything what he wants to do. He won't would he able to do it? No, we have the controls in place. We have NACs, we have network access controls. Your machine should be compliant as per organization NACs policies. Then only they will be able to connect to through the Zscaler tunnel. So there are multiple scenarios, right? It's not like one thing, okay, network flows like this way, but what about security? So local IPs can only go through. I have Ashia Bibi writing out in the chat. Mostly yes, but what if you bring your office home laptop into the office and connect it to the LAN? You will get an IP from the DHCP, which is also private, but you won't be able to connect it through Zscaler. You won't be able to access the internet there if they have the proper controls in place. That is what we'll be studying about. What are proper controls? How you can prevent these type of scenarios, and how would you recommend to the client that okay, this is not a way to do the security. So for that you need to have a base very much clear, so that you can put up the statement to the client and they acknowledge it, or in during the interview, if you explain this scenario during the interview, I'm sure they will know that you know everything about Zscaler. But still there are many things. If you go the advanced level, like the level 3 or level 2, so they won't be just satisfied with this scenario. They want more, right? What all things, what custom category in Zscaler, what how would you block the domains in the Zscaler, what else you can access other than the web browsing, why shouldn't we use it, what is ZPN? So these are the questions which will come into when you'll attend any interview. These questions will be the most critical ones to answer. So I think any more questions from anyone? Or else we can proceed with our lab. I see some of the questions in the chat. Okay. Okay, right. So I'll share my screen back again, and so that we can continue with the lab for the defensive security.
Yes, sir. Session is very informative. I think everyone is enjoying that.
So yes, Jaspreet. So my motive is our motive is, it's not only mine, is to learn the things instead of just mugging it up. Just looking at the lab how it works won't crack the interviews, right? So our role is to get you ready. From once you are done with the course, you should be ready after that particular day, so that you go into the interviews and crack it in the first attempt. So that is our goal. That is what we are looking for, and for that we'll be contributing the time. We're just not looking to complete the course up and to provide you with the basics, from the basics to the advanced level for the security,
Obviously,
right?
yes, sir.
So threat intelligence I've already explained. So this is the information you gather from actual or potential enemies. The threat is in any action. So this is all theory. I think theory is readily available on every platform, but what I told you, that's the real threat intelligence team do, right? They search for the advisories, they search for the threat actors, and they share you with the tactics, techniques, or the data which they have in form of IOCs, so that you can use them as your defenses, right? And same for the digital system, digital forensics. They have science to investigate. They take the backups in that form of incident once it is done, to maintain the compliance and to follow the laws. Once the matter gets into the court, they have to maintain the chain of custody. At the same time, the incident response. So if you see here, I was referring about the NIST. I think so they are also referring to the NIST. So where we have four steps, which is preparation, detection, analysis, the containment. What is containment? Anyone? Okay, so once attack is happening, right, and you are part of incident response team, you see that there is a ransomware attack happening. The files are getting encrypted. There is a lateral movement. Lateral movement means from very basics. I'm telling you, yeah, the attackers try to move from one machine to the other machine, right? They use the RDP sessions, they use any other vulnerabilities or any other remote code execution tools to remotely move into the very particular environment. Or I would say the LANs, they are going beyond the LANs now, right? So they are just bypassing the VLANs and moving out to the other VLANs. There are VM escape type of attacks. If you are using virtualization in your environment, there are data centers. So nowadays the servers are not mainly the physical servers, they are the virtual servers, which I am referring to. So it is also known as bare metal. So that's a plan for a incident response team. So the first, they prepare themselves, just how we are doing. We are looking out for the controls, we are looking for the logics for the detections. And once that detection matches, right, this is the log which comes up onto the SOC L1 team that they detected. They analyze it, then they escalate to the L2s. And L2s, if they feel that it's a true positive incident, they initiate the incident response plan if they are part of. So these are two different teams which are working, SOC and incident response. Many people, uh, I don't know why, like what they relate these two teams, right? But as an L2, you can be part of incident response team, but as an L2, you cannot be part of incident response team. But that mainly depends upon the knowledge which you are having and the organization. If organization putting trust on you to be part of both the teams. So if you're part of both the teams, the perks are higher. If you're part of one team, the perks are not very much higher. So I would say, like, if a SOC analyst is preparing for SOC, he should be part of he should learn about incident response, and this is a very interesting topic. You will see different scenarios, right? How would you respond to it? So these are malware analysis. Once the malware is there, how would you respond to the malware? Ransomware, it's a malware. It encrypts the user's file. Encryption makes the files unreadable. So somebody asked the question, if we could decrypt the file, we could decrypt it ourselves. And the same time, when we encrypt our files and attacker take the hold of those files, they cannot decrypt it. So they are of no use for them. Similarly, as in case of ransomware, the files are not used for the business. They have to pay the ransom, but ideally it should not happen. They should not pay, because once attacker comes to know that you are willing to pay the ransom, you are the prime target for the other attackers also. Trojan horse, I see here. It's anybody who knows what is Trojan horse?
Malicious software.
Okay, so malware is also malicious software, right? A malicious code.
Right.
So Trojan horse is absolutely a malicious software, but it pretends to be not to be a one, right? So what a Trojan horse is, I make a website, it's a gaming website, right? But I am an attacker. What I'll do is I'll create a game code, insert a malicious code in it, and make it available for free for everyone, right? That is why they say you should not go and have anything online, download it. You should always have authentic site from where you download the things, you purchase the things. But so this can be, because you can be another target, right? Somebody would feel, okay, I use my home laptop, why would I be a target? No, you are using internet banking, you are using storing your Aadhaar cards, your PAN cards, your social security numbers, or any of your personal information, maybe your pictures, your family pictures, anything, videos. So you can be a target as well. So once you download that game, you think that's a game, but that's not a game. That's what Trojan horse is. It's a hidden malware. It pretends to be a fine software, but at the back end there is a malicious code which gets activated once you install it on your machine. So that is what I think it was written. For example, a victim might download a video player from a shady website that gives an attacker complete control over the system because that video player was having a malicious code in it, right, along with the right code. So as a manual analysis, we do two type of analysis: static analysis and dynamic analysis. Static means you just look at the code and you see, okay, what is wrong in it, right? You don't do anything, you don't execute the malware, right? You just look at it, just check the hash of that particular malware. You just see, okay, what is the size, what is the extension, is it right or not? That's it. But when you do a dynamic analysis, which is advised to be done on only in the sandboxing solution, which is isolated from the real production environment, you perform the dynamic analysis. You run the malware, right? You see what behavior it comes up with. Is it installing anything? Is it changing the registry values? Is it running any lol bins, right? Is it trying to make a C2 connection? Uh, is anyone know about like what is C2? Okay, C2 is a command and control. Once the attacker gets hold of your machine, they try to make a connection to their server, right? So that they can send the files from your machine to their server. So that's what C2 connection is. And it's not that much simple. It is being done in the DNS tunneling mode nowadays. So when we cover the DNS and the cyber attacks related to DNS, we'll cover those part as well, right? So if we say anybody would like to answer this question, what would you call a team of cybersecurity professionals that monitors a network and its systems for malicious events?
SOC team,
Okay, what is the full form of SOC?
Security Operations Center.
Exactly. One second. Okay. Right. What does DFIR stand for? Anyone?
Digital Forensics Incident Response.
Right. Okay, we'll move to third question. What kind of malware requires the user to pay money to regain access to their files? I have already told this.
Ransom.
Absolutely right. So these questions might sound like these are very easy questions, right? But these set the base up. So if somebody who is looking up to advance, this is the basic. When you go into any organization for an interview, they'll ask you, okay, how SOC works? What is the architecture in SOC? We have L1s, we have L2s, we have L3s as a team lead, we have a SOC manager, and the same time we have threat intelligence team, we have vulnerability detection and response team. So we have servers, we need patching, but who would search it if it needs patching or not? So there are many products in the market with respect to Qualys, VMguard, Qualys, so vulnerability detection response solution, Nessus scanners. So these are the tools which are being used by the VMDR teams when they want to scan the servers in the environment and see if there is any vulnerability which can be breached by the attacker. So they advise the server teams to patch the vulnerabilities and also assist them with the patches, right? So this is a scenario I think we are running late. So let us pretend you are SOC analyst. So now I'll need you guys to complete this lab. We'll do it quickly. So we'll pretend that you are a SOC analyst and you are protecting a bank. The bank SOC uses SIM solution, which is security information and event management tool, which is what the L1s looks upon for the alerts to trigger. We have correlations, we have logs ingestions here in the SIM tool. Basis on that logics in the correlation rules, the alert triggers and they detects it and respond to it respectively. So if SIM finds out something suspicious, an alert will be generated, right? So not alerts, all alerts are malicious. As I said, there are false positives, but we need to be very cautious if we are closing the false positives, right? So I'll just open the site. It will take some time to open. Okay, this is how a SIM dashboard looks like. So when we'll be going through the course, I will be actually sharing you the lab access and demonstrating the same on the labs, and we will ask you to hands-on over the same lab. We'll be seeing either the IBM QRadar or Splunk, or we have the logarithms and Microsoft Sentinels when we'll be moving out to the cloud setup. But yes, you will be looking out to the dashboards and you'll seeing these alerts, how it comes up, how it pops up, what are the correlation rules, how we can integrate the log sources, uh, and how we can create the parsers. If somebody is interested in the SIM engineering, they can just look into it, and uh, they can say, okay, I can do it. If there is a high demand of SOC SIM engineers, I would say. At the same time, they need the good SOC defenders as well as part of their L1, L2, L3 groups. So, and many big four companies, and if I would say the high tech giants like HCL, IBM, TCS, Wipros, even the Microsoft is interviewing for the threat hunters nowadays frequently. So that's a high. Uh, they are just looking out for the people who have the knowledge. So there is a shortage of quality SOC analysts in the market right now. So going on, the alert logs. So what we see here is a dashboard. You see the countries. So these are the connections from where the traffic is coming from. So you see UK has 60 count, US 30, and similarly we have for Brazil, China, Russia, and North Korea. Right. So we have some dashboard here. We have a pie chart, right? Uh, So if you see the information, the attacks which are happening is 30%, and we have the suspicious as 30%. So these are suspicious, but the actual attacks which we are focusing on is the red. So if you see that first alert which we are going at, successful SSH authentication attempt to port 22. So SSH is secure shell which uses port 22 to form a connection. It's a secure port. So there isn't any thing to worry about, right? So moving on, when we see the user John logged in successfully, 4624. So when we'll be covering all these scenarios, we'll be focusing on the event IDs. These are the most critical ones when you are talking about the Windows systems. Which event ID is suspicious? Which event ID should trigger an alert? What is the correlation between the event IDs? If we will be talking about the golden ticket attacks, right? Kerberos authentications, how does they work? So we'll be covering all these things. Login failure. So login failure is 4625 event ID. I think event ID was a specific accounts password has expired. That is 535. What we see here is uh, so on August 17th, you have a timestamp here. Unauthorized connection attempt detected from IP address 143.110.250.149. So as a SOC analyst, what will you do first? For me, I'll check the reputation of this IP. What is this IP? It does not seem to be belong to my environment, right? Well, I'll just open this. Okay, I have this thing with me. All right, I can check. So this is a dummy open source intelligence, but you can do it using the virus total, abuse IPTP, semantic site reviews if it is for the domains. There are many other sources you can refer to. So what we have to do is we'll check the reputation of this IP. So if this IP is malicious, then our part is to just block it and stop the connections. So if you see here, it is malicious. It belongs to China Mobile Communications Corporation. And trust me, when you start working, you'll see many IPs from this ISP. Uh, with my personal experience, I'm telling you this thing. So it's a malicious thing, right? So there are instructions. There are many open source databases out there. So similarly, which I told you, now that we know the IP address is malicious, we need to escalate it to the staff member. Okay, we'll do it. whom will we escalate it to? So anybody who can tell, like, will be escalating to which member from out of these four? So
So
we don't have to, right? SOC team lead, right? Thanks. We don't want to escalate to somebody who is not from the security team. So we have chosen this security member who is a team lead. We want to block the IP, and what we'll do is we'll just block. You block the malicious IP address. Boom. So we have got a code to complete this lab. And this is, let me tell you one thing, this is very basic labs which we are doing. This will get advanced as we continue with our courses. And as time did not allow me to complete with the hypothesis part, I'll try to cover it tomorrow. So congratulations on completing defensive security introduction. So this is a basic SOC L1 scenario, which we have covered. So with this, I'll stop my screen sharing. If you guys have any questions, please let me know.
Yes, guys, please ask your doubts so that we can cover up that and we can sum up.
Yes, sir. The SOC teams in the ISPs companies are also there, na? SOC teams are available in networking companies, na?
So SOC team is part of every organization. If they are not having in-house security SOC team, they are just vending it out to the vendors. So if I talk about SOC, for the job opportunities, there are many jobs in the market. If you, so I would request you guys to go out and see it on the LinkedIn, how many jobs are there for L2s, L3s, L1s, threat hunting. So you will come to know that, okay, so international market is fully open. You can find jobs in Dubai, you can find jobs in Europe. So this is an open market right now. They are having a shortage of a quality SOC analysts.
In the Airtel, sir, there is separate team for SOC.
Right, right. So SOC is now a necessity from protecting the confidentiality, integrity, or the availability part for any organization. At the same time, for the compliance purposes, the companies who were not concentrating on their SOC, now it is mandatory for them to have a SOC. So that's a bold line. Right? Any more questions?
One more question. So, are we doing this this class on this try to hack me platform, or how?
So that was a basic lab demonstration which we have given, but we'll be covering the real scenarios with a real SIM solution setup. When we
Okay.
start up with the course, we'll be looking at a real SIM, how the correlation logic works. We'll be creating the logics. We'll be
So
generating
today
the
you give me
traffic.
the basic things how this things works basically. So
Sorry,
from tomorrow you are going
sorry, can
to.
you please repeat?
No, I'm saying today you completed the basic things. Now how things are work on the SOAP part,
Okay.
L1 things.
So
And
this
then tomorrow you are going to cover all the things.
so
Start
tomorrow we will be setting up a Palo Alto session. So
okay.
since we are looking the somebody who is working, who is getting the knowledge from the SOC 1 network fundamentals and basic security and the analysis part, we are also looking up to provide a real hands-on knowledge on the SIM as well as on the firewalls. So if we talk about network security, so what I have seen is the SOC guys lacks knowledge on the network security, and that's a lacking part from their side, which interviewers catch. And because they, as a SOC analyst, you should be aware of all the security devices which are in your environment, and protecting the border security, which is a perimeter security, is a must. So one should be very well aware of the VPNs, the IPS, IDS, the remote access VPNs, the policies which we configure, the NATings. So yes, we'll be covering all the parts from basic. So this is not the basic which we have covered. It's a demonstration of how a SOC analyst works. And during the session, when the
So
questions were there, I
for
explained the basics.
this SOC, the basics are
Sorry, is it only me who is having hard time hearing?
Yes, his voice is breaking.
No, his voice
Yeah.
is breaking, sir. Even we also cannot listen.
Okay.
So you
Hello?
can share your question. We can answer it later. No problem.
Okay. No, I was asking that for the SOC
Sorry, Saurabh, I'm not able to hear you
network
properly.
basics are okay.
It's
Okay. Am I
still
audible?
breaking, Saurabh.
Am I
So
audible?
if you can write your question in the chat, I would answer it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
No
Yes,
problem. You can share your questions with Jasprit. I can answer it, and also I think Jasprit would answer your questions if you have
yes,
any.
yes. Definitely, guys. We can sum up the session today, and we can connect by tomorrow. That is the last free day of this bundle. Okay, and then we can start enrollment. Already 13 guys have taken the enrollment. Thanks, guys, who have already enrolled. And this program will be beyond your imagination. Okay, we will cover from the basic to more advanced. Okay, so that you will be able to crack the interview in the first attempt. Even if you are planning for any certification, that will be very helpful for you. And you can connect with the counseling team who can help you with the enrollment part and the guidance part as well. So yes, sir. Okay, Imran sir, we can close the session for today.
Yes, yes. I think that you might have got some knowledge from this session. This
Yes,
is
yes.
just
It was too much
first time.
informative, and even uh, I hope who are already, still in the session, they have got every point with very clarity, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Even Saurabh is asking for SOC basics of networking and necessary. I
So
guess Imran.
yes, we'll be covering the basic networking initially because SOC, yes, basic networking is a must. When we'll be starting the complete course, we'll be starting with the basic networking only.
Okay, so it means like any fresher can join this batch, right?
Yes, anybody can join. Anybody can join, and they'll learn from the roots.
Sure, sure. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for the time. Thank you, Imran sir. Thanks a lot for the information. We can,
Thank,
meet by tomorrow
thank you.
same time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night, guys. Thank you for the time, please.